Welcome back, Recliner Sports Reporters, to another week's episode of Keep the Change podcast, episode 32. Rob B, how we doing, buddy?
Oh, doing great, man. Just have a nice pot roast dinner. Been cooking all day. It's delicious. Feeling great.
A good pot roast. Now, what is like the key ingredients to a good pot roast?
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know if I've really ever had a pot roast I don't like. You got all the good ingredients in there. You got some meat, some potatoes, some carrots, celery, good little mixture of seasonings in there. And it's just, man,
That's
I
how.
just I don't think I've ever had a pot roast that I didn't
Are
like.
you a do you cook it in the crock pot, or are you just like low
Yep,
on dude,
yep,
crock pots are the greatest thing ever invented. I
yep.
mean,
I think we started it. She started it at like 8:30, 9 o'clock this morning, and I mean the food's so tender, like the meat literally just falls apart.
what? Oh, delicious.
Yeah.
Um, well, lots to talk about tonight. Tonight is episode 32, so we'll be talking about some greats that wore the number 32. We'll also be talking about AFC West predictions on how we think the AFC West is going to find out. And then we also have Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook. We got some running back news.
Game running back signings.
But before we start all that, new sponsor alert. Want to shout out to Anything Display. So Anything Display, located offices in Fort Myers. So are you tired of dull and lifeless displays, ready to experience the wow factor in every pixel? Look no further than anythingdisplay.com. At anythingdisplay.com, they are redefining your visual excellence. Whether you need a stunning digital signage for your business or an eye-catching trade show display, they've got you covered. Imagine captivating your audience with vibrant colors and crystal clear images. Upgrade your visual game with anythingdisplay.com today. So head on over to anythingdisplay.com today to get all of your table, banners, flags, anything that you need to display your awesome company. Head on over to anythingdisplay.com. I know, right? Shout out, baby. Yeah, we're gonna have to get some sick banners. We were sending,
Yeah.
yeah, so send over the podcast. They also hooking us up with a cool podcast studio. So just working on that. I'm sure some have seen clips. John Weber is the guy that runs anythingdisplay.com over there. So we're also working on another channel called Success Pal. So if you are interested in sharing your success formula, go ahead and reach out to us. We'd love to have you on the show for you to talk about your success formula. But yeah, lots of big things happening down over at the hub at the front of Whiskey Creek. All right, buddy. Well, let's start off with the quick ones. Ezekiel Elliott shifting up to Boston. What do you think about that?
Always going to cheer for anybody that went to the Ohio State University. Another one of our great running backs. I think the old ball coach over there in New England is going to figure out a way to utilize him and rejuvenate him and bring him back to life.
Bill is
So,
always great at getting those type of guys. I mean, you think about like Randy Moss, right?
yeah,
Like you
people thought
think,
he was done.
yeah. And I think Bill already has a game plan on how he wants to use him. Plus, I think New England really was in need of a running back, so I think that New England it gets a solid pickup there. And like we've said about Zeke in earlier shows, is he is so great at the 1 through 3 downs or even the goal line touches. He's really great, and he's a good back. He's not an every down back, but you get that guy 10, 12 touches a game, he usually does a pretty solid job with it.
Yeah, it's a matter of if Zeke wants to be a star still. He's he's talented. He's got all the talent and athleticism in the world. It's just if he still has the drive and the fire inside him to keep going. I feel like that's always been his thing. Anytime he wanted to, he could have been a top five running back in the league. These last few years, I know Tony Pollard was stealing some of his carries, but man, he just didn't seem like he was running with the same fire. He didn't seem like he had that same type of tenacity about him
I
that we
agree.
saw in Columbus, and I feel like that's going to be the difference. I think them letting him go in Dallas is going to light a fire under him.
Yeah, I think he's going to do really. I honestly think he's going to do really well in New England. My only question is, so if
Sucks if you already did your fantasy draft and you drafted Ramondre Stevenson, but
yeah,
you're
no,
going to lose some touches and touchdowns there. But
yeah, because he was
we don't
solid.
draft till this Saturday, so I'm good.
He was solid last year for him, Ramondre. But my question is the crop top. Those New England winters can get a lot more brutal than those Texas dome summers.
Yeah, yeah,
So
you never know.
you never know.
Look at
He did play
David
at Ohio
Njoku.
State. Yeah, right. He
David
just
Njoku was warming up without a shirt on Christmas Eve last year against the Saints, and it was negative 35 degrees.
that guy's also
Your
a different.
beer, your
Yeah,
beer would freeze before you could get back to your seat.
that
It
guy
wasn't
is.
a beer slushy; it was a frozen beer sickle.
Yeah, that guy is an alien for sure. Well, congrats to Zeke. I always love to see, like you said, gotta love to see another former Ohio State guy, uh, doing well for himself, and I think he'll do. I think he'll do really well in New England.
Well,
Um,
speaking of your state down there, congrats to the Florida State alumni too, and Dalvin Cook.
yeah, signing with the Jets, another Aaron Rodgers picking up another dog.
Is Aaron Rodgers turning into the LeBron of the NFL, where he's just going to be picking his own team and picking his own players, bringing them along with him now? It's what it feels like right now.
Aaron Rodgers, just when you think he's out, he pulls another rabbit out of the hat. I mean, that we've said it already. The Jets offense is going to be explosive, but now, I mean, we'd already talked about him last week, but now I think this puts the Jets way up there as contenders for the AFC East, man.
Yeah, I mean, between Hall and Cook, that's a great one-two punch, and you can throw what's the dude's name, Michael Carter or whatever, Michelle, however you say his first name. They got three talented running backs that all can go out there. You can keep fresh legs, keep rotating them in and out. Just whoever's got the hot hand, feed them.
Yeah, that was a great sneaky pickup by the Jets. Of all the teams, the Jets go and get Dalvin Cook because I don't, I was shocked when the kind of whole thing with the Vikings went down. I thought
Yeah.
he had a good relationship with Cousins. I thought and the Vikings had a really good season last year. Um, and it was shocking to see them not be able to work out that deal with Dalvin Cook. Uh, that hurts the Vikings, I think. And definitely is benefiting the Jets for sure.
Oh, without a doubt.
All right. Well, running backs are finally getting paid. Only took us a couple episodes, but shout out to those guys.
Cream
Um,
Hunt's next.
yeah, well, yeah, yeah.
Had
I
two
mean,
different meetings, two different teams. And if you don't get paid, just come on back to Cleveland.
you would think that that's got to be the plausible the
Come
next
back
step.
home. Let's win a Super Bowl. Nothing else will matter at that point.
It really doesn't. Um, all right, moving on. AFC East. Here's the real question about this.
West.
Or AFC West. AFC West. The real question for the AFC West. It's the Chiefs to lose.
Who's going to top them? Can Herbert do it? Can the Raiders do it? Can
I th-
Bronco Country just let's roll? Let's ride. What is it?
Broncos country. Let's ride. No, dude. But I mean, for real, I thought going into last year, I thought the Raiders were going to steal that division. I didn't think the Chargers could do enough to really win it. I think Justin Herbert is a good quarterback. They got a really solid team there. I just didn't think that they would do enough to win it. And I thought with Tariq Hill leaving the Chiefs, and I thought with Pat having a lot of new guys, the Chiefs were going to have a little bit of a struggle year, and that the Raiders were going to somehow steal it. Boy, was I wrong in that, considering the Chiefs end up winning the Super Bowl and the Raiders end up having like one of the worst seasons ever. And then,
Bad
uh,
enough they part ways with
yeah,
Carr.
and then they part ways with Carr, and then and I say that lightly, worst season ever, as the Broncos were also made
Ooh,
everyone hate Thursday night football for a while there.
I-
Um,
terrible.
so let's start off with a team where I think has a lot of in this conference that I think has a lot of issues right now, and it is the Broncos. The Broncos last year, clearly there was something that was going wrong with Russell Wilson in that. I mean, I know there was at some point they were saying he had like more bathrooms than touchdown passes at one point in his house. And then you hear all this weird stuff about how his trainers and cooks and his like people were really heavily involved with like the Broncos. And then Sean Payne gets in and he pretty much talks a
Nope.
whole bunch of crap about uh the old head coach and then
The whole
Aaron,
front office,
yeah,
all of his bosses, he
and then
just threw
Aaron
under the bus.
Rodgers gets involved now, and like there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Don't know if there's a lot of good stuff. But I think the Broncos are going to have a lot of issues this year if they can't figure out what to do with Russell Wilson. And I just don't think Russell Wilson's their guy, but I don't know who they have to replace him in terms of like, is the backup like I think
They
Russell
just sold
Wilson,
the farm. They
yeah,
sold the
that's
farm for Wilson a year ago.
yeah,
This is just straight purgatory if he doesn't work out. That's your only two options when you sign. I mean, if you give up your future for a quarterback that's already in his 30s, you have two options. Either you're going to be really good right now, or you just put your team in purgatory for the next decade.
yeah. I mean, you look at their backups, and I mean, you got, I mean, Stidham, like who, like you know, what I'm saying that's like who,
Dude couldn't beat out Mac Jones.
right? Like who, like you've put all your eggs in that basket, and um, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do if they can't figure out how to make it happen with Russ. Um, but I am predicting the Broncos have another down year, and then I think Sean Payne goes and does his thing next year. But I don't think if you're a Broncos fan, I'd be shocked if you guys have a good season. I'm really sorry. Um, but yeah, not looking great for the Broncos. Now I could be completely wrong because I was clearly wrong in this division last year. Um, moving up the way, the Raiders. I mean,
Yeah.
I totally understood them getting rid of Carr. Oh, I didn't understand, but like it made sense once you kind of saw the direction they were going. But then it made zero sense when you go and
You picked up a
replace.
worse quarterback.
Yeah, you go and replace a on the edge of his career quarterback with another on the edge of his career quarterback. So it just didn't make any sense what they were doing with that. Um, so talk to me. How do you think the Raiders are going to be this year?
Man, I don't see the Raiders doing well. I feel like they're going to be battling with the Broncos at the bottom of that division there. Both teams could finish five or less wins, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. I don't believe in Jimmy G. I think the guy's got a great jawline, good looking human being, well spoken, just not a top tier quarterback.
No, he's a
He's
game
a
manager.
system, he's a system quarterback, a game manager that is put on a team that, man, I really don't think has the talent to win with that style of quarterback.
No,
Adams is a stud. Jacobs is a stud. Darren Waller's a stud. But is their defense that great? Is their offensive line that great?
no.
I just don't see it working out.
Now I will admit. rookie quarterback Aiden O'Connell had an amazing preseason game. I know it's preseason, but 15 of 18 for 141 and a touchdown. I mean, that's
That's a good
pretty
number.
good. He has the fans all a buzz over there, and he had a great interview when they asked what he was going to do with his first touchdown ball, and he said he didn't want to get fined, so he just turned it back to the ref. So what a classy guy. Um, but yeah, uh, I mean Aiden O'Connell from Purdue. I mean, again, Big Ten school, but what are you? What I mean, again, you traded out, uh, pretty much been your guy for the last however many seasons, and you replace him with a guy who's very similar in terms of like production over the last couple of years, and you're relying on this backup quarterback from Purdue. So I don't know. I think the Raiders
I
have a
don't even know.
lot of
I don't even
issues.
know if they're similar in production. I feel like Cars put up numbers with the exception of last year. I mean,
I
I
think
know they didn't win the big games. They weren't winning playoff games, but they were putting up numbers. And Derek Carr is the reason why Devontae Adams came to Las Vegas and joined that team was because they were college teammates and the bond they already had.
yeah,
So not only did you get rid of your quarterback, you just pissed off your best player too at the
yeah,
same time.
and we're talking about, the season before, a Raiders team that made the playoffs, played against the Bengals, fought pretty tooth and nail. I think that was only like a field goal or maybe 7-point one score win, you know,
Yeah.
for the Bengals. And then you went and go and get an electric receiver in Adams, and like even the games that they lost this year were like, I think I forget the staff, but like at least 80% of them were like less than one score losses that they had. Like,
They they were like the Chargers from 2 years ago where they just kept finding ways to lose.
yeah, I think it was like less than like 15 total points in all games combined that they lost by. Um, which I think I totally just made that up, but it's pretty close. It's either 15 or
Yeah.
16. But it was a really low number. Um, yeah, yeah, I don't know what the Raiders are going to do this year. I expect them and the Broncos to kind of just be fiddling around for the bottom of the division.
Yeah.
Um, all right, moving up the ladder, the team that I think has the most pressure. All right, you say that I say this.
Not the team that won the Super
No,
Bowl.
not the team that won the Super Bowl, but the team that everyone's when you got the franchise quarterback, this is the year
Everything else
where
is that fall in
this
line.
this is the year where people start saying, "Hey, you're our guy. You're the flow, bro." Justin Herbert has a lot of pressure on him this year. How is he going to be able to will these Chargers into a playoff contender team, an AFC Championship contender team, and possibly making a Super Bowl appearance? What does he have to do?
That's a really tough question because, like we talked about, the Chargers just have, since he's been there, found ways to lose games that they should have won. And a lot of times it's at no fault of Herbert's. Sometimes not even at any fault of the players, just poor clock management, poor coaching, just poor decision making all around. But there's so much talent.
Yeah, the Chargers have to figure out better ways to close out games.
Yeah.
They are a team that lost games in the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. Their losses, you look back at them. I mean, losing leads, um, just not executing on final drives. I mean, you name it. These guys figured out a way to lose. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it like they lost themselves a lot of these
Yeah.
games.
They didn't get beat, they
Yeah,
lost.
they lost a lot of games just themselves, and you think like, okay, if those games flip the other way, I mean, are we talking about last year the Chargers of possibly have been making it? Now, I mean, I'll admit, even like, I'll bring it back to like my team, the Bengals. I think the Bengals don't match up very well against the Chargers. I think the Chargers are on paper, they look like they could be a better team. And I think their personnel matches up better, and I think that they're explosive offense and they have a gritty defense, but they're not good at closing out games and keeping leads. So I
That
think,
tandem of receivers is hard for any defense to keep
oh
up
yeah,
with. Not many secondaries have the capability of guarding two guys that can spread the field at 6'3" or taller.
exactly.
Between Williams and Allen, they got big, long, athletic receivers. And then on top of that, Austin Eckler might be the most versatile back in the league.
So good.
He is the best receiving back in the league. Coming out of the backfield, I don't think there's a question about that. But even though he's a smaller guy, he runs tough. He's
Yep.
not afraid to go between the tackles. He's not afraid of contact. Another guy that'd be a great fantasy pickup.
Yeah, Austin Eckler, fantasy steal of your draft if you can get him, especially if you can get him like in the
I mean,
fourth or fifth rounds.
oh no, man, he's a first rounder.
You think?
Yeah,
Oh wow. Okay.
I think Eckler is probably a top. Yeah, he's probably the number two running back, in my
Well, I
opinion.
guess it
Fantasy
kind of depends
wise,
on how
behind
big. I guess it
Christian
depends on
McCaffrey.
how. I guess it depends on like how big your league is too. Like
Yeah.
if you're talking like a 12-person league, yeah. But if you're talking like a 8-person league, I don't know. I feel like there's 8 other players that you want besides Eckler. But I do agree, he's definitely one of the top 3 backs that you want to pick up this year,
Mhm.
especially if you're in a PPR league. He's going to
Oh,
get you at least points on catches
yeah,
because
he's gonna have 5, 6 catches every game, no matter what.
he finds the end zone.
Yeah,
He's just an end zone magnet. Um, yeah, I think the Chargers are in control of their own destiny here. I think that they have a really really good shot at winning the West, but
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I think this is the year they do overthrow the Chiefs, and that the Chargers do end up finding a way to win the division, and Herbert figures it all out. So go ahead and lock that in as a little early preseason prediction.
you
Super
heard
Bowl
it
champs
here.
aren't even going to win the division this year.
You heard it here, the Chargers, baby. But they have to get past the Chiefs. And I mean, even Joe
They're fun to
Burrows,
watch. Hate them.
even Joe Burrow said it. Pat Mahomes is the number 1 quarterback in the league right now. And I think he's proven it. And so here's the complete opposite. They find ways to win games. They
Yep,
are they
it's a
have
great
been
one
out
too.
of a lot of games and they are finding ways to win. And I think that's you look at like what's the big difference is Chargers are finding ways to lose. The Chiefs find ways to win. Um
Mm.
so what are the keys to the Chiefs success here?
Keeping Mahomes and Kelsey healthy, and just keep throwing the ball to Travis Kelsey. He's the
And I,
best receiver in the league. I don't care that he plays tight end. He is the best receiving offensive weapon in football. And if you're drafting anywhere between the 6 to 8 slot in your fantasy draft, I love taking Kelsey in the first round. There's no position where the discrepancy between the number one overall player and the number two overall player is that large as it is at tight end. Kelsey puts up top tier receiver numbers at tight end, and there's just nobody else that does that consistently.
yeah, you can get a lot of junky receivers, but they're like you said, he is by far the best on the tight ends there. And I like Pacheco, man. I like
Yeah.
him a lot. I thought he came out last year like a man on fire, and he's a crafty little athlete, man. I like him.
Yeah. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire is supposed to be healthy this year, too. So they get a little thunder and lightning going with those guys.
Yeah.
And the
And
other thing is, they still got that big mother trucker and Chris Jones
that's
on the
what
defensive line that just, man, the dude single handedly can just wreck an entire offensive game plan. It
yeah,
don't
that's
matter
what
if
I
you
was
got
just
guys on him, 3 guys on him, he still finds a way to the backfield.
yeah, I was just about to say that Chris Jones, man, and that defense is absolutely a menace when they want to be. Um, It's a tough team, man. Like I said, all roads lead through the Chiefs right now, and it's not like they've gotten weaker. And even when you thought they had gotten weaker last year, they had shown that no, they're still the top dog. So I think the division is the Chiefs to lose and the Chargers to steal, and I think the Broncos and Raiders are they're just playing for scraps. That's my kind of way I think it's going to play out. My prediction is going to be I think the Chiefs get it done. I think the Chargers finish second with definitely getting in on the wild card spot, and the Raiders and Broncos they're going to enjoy their top of the draft picks for the 2024
Hey,
draft.
the good thing though for those Raiders Broncos fans and hell, even the players and family members, you could book a vacation early. You don't got to
Hey,
worry about no postseason run. You don't have to worry about going to the playoffs. Go ahead and book that vacation for when the season ends because you don't got to worry about your team playing.
and think Caleb Williams could be coming in next year's draft. So
Yeah,
he could, and both of you have a somewhat of issues right now in that position, and he's pretty good. Last year's
yeah.
Heisman. So
Call him Patrick Mahomes without a wait period. That's
exactly,
whew,
that's pretty good.
whew.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, what's your prediction?
Yeah, like I said, I think this is the year that the Chargers figure out how to win games as opposed to losing them. Think that they win more of those close games than they lose this year, and they sneak out the division. I don't think that the Chiefs miss the playoffs. I still think both teams are looking at, 11, 12, 13 wins. But I'm going Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos.
Very good. I like it. Yeah, I think the Raiders definitely finish higher than the Broncos, but that's not saying much considering. Um,
Yeah.
awesome, buddy. All right, well, let's wrap this thing up with famous 32s. Who you got for me?
Well, we got a different goat in Cleveland than maybe a lot of the world. Not even talking about basketball. Jim Brown, greatest running back of all time, possibly one of the greatest two-sport athletes of all time if you count his lacrosse days at Syracuse. But Jim Brown's the top one, and man, growing up in our era, I don't know anybody that this wasn't one of their favorite athletes at one point or another. Well, Shaq Daddy. Who doesn't love Shaquille O'Neal? That is freaking awesome.
Right
Heck
there,
yeah.
baby. Shaq
Heck
Daddy,
yeah.
baby. Thanks for the ball, man.
That is awesome. Heck yeah.
Shaq Daddy. He was my
But
favorite player, man. I loved him.
yeah.
I met him at Gatorland one time. It was great. We threw steaks at alligators. It was amazing. True
That's some
story.
Florida stuff for you right there.
Yeah. Uh Orlando, Gatorland. It is exactly how you think it is. Um,
Another one, another all-time great War 32, Sandy Koufax.
oh yeah, Sandy, the Koufax baby. Also, you got Irving
Dr. J.
and the Magic Man himself, Magic Johnson.
Man, that's got to be one of the top numbers for top tier players right there.
Carl Malone, another one.
A mailman.
I mean, and you can't forget about if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. OJ,
The juice.
baby. The juice is loose.
Oh man.
Oh, Kevin McHale, Celtics legend.
Another one. Yep.
Bill Walton, Lynn. You know what it is? It's these big guys. These big guys had
Yeah.
32.
Got a lot of power forwards and centers in there. And
Oh,
Carl, is it Steve Carlton?
yeah. And I don't remember him wearing 32. I thought he wore 13, but I guess I was wrong. Jason Kidd.
Yep. I think in Phoenix.
Yep.
Was it
Yep. when
That
he
was
had
early on in his career, back when he had the fade.
the blonde afro. Yeah,
Yeah,
the blonde mini afro. And then the late great immaculate reception Franco Harris, man.
yeah. One of the best. God, I hate it. Don't even like thinking about it, but one of the best, most exciting plays in all of sports.
Oh yeah, literally. And have you seen that show, the like documentary on it? Like the fact
Yeah.
that there's like no footage of it, like
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it hit the ground, but we're going to erase everything.
you got to think, yeah, whoever was in that booth was like, get it out, cut it,
rip,
yeah.
rip the film, rip it.
That's saying an Area 51 with all the aliens right now.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Those are some great 32s, man. I think that's been probably our greatest number we've given a rundown for sure, hands down so far.
Yeah. It's right
All
up
right.
there. Switching back and forth 23, 32.
Yeah. Oh my
That's got to be the
gosh.
top two numbers.
That's wild. I didn't even think about that till you just said it. Whoa. That's crazy. It's the reverse goat number. All right, buddy. Well, everyone, thank you so much for stopping by. Please give us a like and a share, and let us know your thoughts on all of our opinions below. Robbie, any final things, buddy?
And I'm good. Happy to have Jose Ramirez back in Cleveland after his 2-game suspension for knocking the fake tough guy Tim Anderson out.
Slap on the wrist
Happy
right there.
happy to have Hosey back. All-time great Cleveland athlete.
Yeah. Thank you all. We appreciate the love and support. Also, again, head on over to anythingdisplay.com for any of your display needs. Thank you so much, everybody. We love you. And as always, keep the change.